Funny thing about value, most people don't even realize they have it until someone else decides they do. They spend their whole lives chasing attention, approval, money, just to feel seen. But imagine this, someone out there. A billionaire could have anyone, could buy anything, could own the whole world if they wanted. And yet, they want you. Not because of what you have, but because of what you carry inside that can't be bought, copied, or faked. That should tell you something. The rarest thing in this world isn't gold, it's authenticity. And when power notices authenticity, it doesn't chase, it chooses. Because the world is full of people who sell their souls cheap, but the ones who don't, the ones who hold their ground when everyone else folds, they become priceless. It's funny, isn't it? How people spend their whole lives screaming for attention, posting, posing, pretending, just to be noticed by a world that doesn't even look up from its phone. They think visibility equals value. They think the louder they shout, the more they'll matter. But the truth is, real worth doesn't make noise. It doesn't need to. It sits in silence, while the desperate ones chase the spotlight that burns them alive. Because real value isn't about being seen by everyone. It's about being recognized by the right one. You see, the crowd only sees surfaces. They judge you by your clothes, your car, your smile, the mask you wear so they won't ask questions. They don't see the nights you bled quietly, the mornings you stood up anyway. They don't see how you broke and rebuilt yourself 1,000 times. But someone does. Someone who's learned to see beyond the glitter and the lies. Someone who doesn't just look, they notice. That's the difference between those who waste and those who invest. The crowd is blind. The wise are focused. The billionaire doesn't waste time scanning the noise. He studies the silence, because he knows that the ones who are truly rare don't advertise themselves. They don't beg to be found. They're too busy becoming something worth finding. And that's what separates you from the masses. You're not just another name in the feed. You're the quiet one, the one who thinks differently, moves differently, and refuses to shrink just to fit in. That's why you're noticed. That's why you're chosen. Most people mistake noise for power. They think if they talk enough, people will listen. But power doesn't shout. It radiates. It's the presence that changes the room without saying a word. It's the calm that unsettles chaos. And if you've ever felt unseen by the world, maybe it's because your light is too steady to be spotted by shallow eyes. The ones who are truly powerful are invisible to the average mind. They move like whispers in a storm, unbothered, unshaken, unstoppable. You want to know what draws the rich, the wise, the powerful to you. It's not your smile or your style. It's your stillness. It's the way you carry yourself when everything's falling apart. It's the way you don't crumble when life decides to play rough. Because power recognizes power. Strength respects strength. And no billionaire, no empire, no kingdom can ignore the presence of someone who refuses to break. That kind of energy can't be bought. It's earned through pain, through patience, through persistence. The world's full of counterfeit souls. People selling watered down versions of themselves for likes and validation. They wear their dreams like costumes and call it ambition. But the real ones, the ones with fire in their veins and scars on their hearts, they don't perform. They exist. They carry truth like a weapon and pain like armor. That's what makes them stand out. That's what makes them rare enough for someone powerful to see and say, "That one." And when they notice you, it's not because of luck. It's because of alignment. You didn't stumble into their radar. You rose into it. Every struggle that tried to break you was sharpening your edges. Every rejection was redirection. Every lonely night was training you to stand alone in the kind of silence where most people lose their minds. You didn't chase the spotlight, but you became the glow. And power always finds the glow. That's why you were seen, because while others begged for attention, you demanded respect without saying a word. You didn't have to advertise your worth. You embodied it. You became the kind of person whose presence can't be ignored, even in a crowded room. The kind of person whose energy whispers louder than 1,000 voices. The kind of person who makes even the powerful pause and think, "Fuh, there's something different about that one." See, the wise don't chase trends, they chase truth. They're drawn to substance, not flash. And substance can't be faked. You can't Photoshop it. You can't fake it. You can't buy it. It's written in how you handle loss, in how you treat people who can't give you anything, in how you keep going when no one's clapping. That's what true wealth sees. That's what makes you valuable in a world obsessed with illusions. Because the truth is, you were never meant to fit into their mold. You were meant to break it. You weren't designed to be understood by the crowd. You were built to be discovered by the few who see beyond it. The ones who don't just count numbers, but recognize souls. And when someone like that chooses you, it's not by accident. It's because they saw what you stopped seeing in yourself. A kind of brilliance that doesn't need to prove itself, because it already knows what it is. The crowd overlooks you, because they don't know how to see beyond the surface. But the ones who truly understand value, they notice the cracks, the shadows, the depth. Because only someone who's been through fire can recognize another flame. Only someone who's tasted emptiness can appreciate fullness. And that's why you stand out. Not because you tried to, but because you couldn't help but become something real in a world full of plastic hearts and paper crowns. You ever notice how people crave what they can't buy? The moment they realize money can't touch it, that's when they start wanting it more. That's the secret. The moment something becomes untouchable, it becomes irresistible. And in this world, the rarest thing to find is a soul that can't be bought. Everyone says they have principles until a price tag shows up. Everyone says they're loyal until loyalty costs them comfort. Everyone swears they're real until being real stops being convenient. That's when the truth shows. And when someone powerful sees a person who won't trade their truth for a check, that's when interest turns into obsession. You see, the world runs on transactions. Everyone's selling something: attention, dignity, peace, time. They don't even notice they've turned their lives into a marketplace. But the ones who refuse to sell, who keep their soul locked away from the auction block, they confuse the system. Because the system doesn't know what to do with someone it can't buy. That's when power starts to watch. It studies you. It wonders why you're not desperate, why you don't bend, why you walk away from what others would die to touch. That's when you become valuable. The truth is, what can't be bought becomes priceless. Scarcity creates desire. The rarer something is, the more the world chases it. You think diamonds are precious because they shine. No. It's because there aren't many of them. The world loves what it can't have. And when you stop being available to everything and everyone, that's when the world starts treating you like treasure. That's when the powerful ones, the ones who can buy the world, start craving what money can't reach. They don't want another deal. They want something real, and that's what makes you dangerous. You can't be bribed. You can't be controlled with numbers or gifts or promises. You walk through a world that worships currency, and you worship conviction. You understand that a full bank account means nothing if your soul's bankrupt. You've seen people sell their freedom for comfort, their integrity for approval, their spirit for attention, and you refused. You didn't just talk about being different. You were. And that difference, that quiet refusal to kneel, is what draws power to you. Because deep down, even the rich are poor in ways they'll never admit. They have everything except peace. They've bought the world, but not themselves. And when they meet someone who doesn't bow to money, they feel something strange. Respect. Maybe even envy. They want what you have, the freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be gifted, only built. The kind that comes from surviving storms without selling your soul for shelter. The kind that's earned by walking through fire and coming out with yourself, worth still intact. And the funny part, they'll test you first. Oh, they'll tempt you. They'll offer you comfort, attention. A shortcut to everything you ever thought you wanted. They'll try to see if your silence has a price. And every time you turn it down, their curiosity grows. Because deep down, they're tired of pretending too. They're surrounded by people who'll say yes to anything with a dollar sign. But then there's you, the one who pauses, smiles, and says no. That no echoes louder than 1,000 yeses. It tells them you're not like the rest. See, when something can't be bought, it can't be owned. And when it can't be owned, it has power. That's the kind of energy the world can't manufacture. That's what shakes the powerful, because it reminds them that money might buy luxury, but it can't buy worth. And worth, real worth, isn't something you can wear or post. It's something that radiates from how you carry yourself, how you move when no one's watching, how you treat people who can't benefit you. That's what can't be bought. That's what money notices when it's bored with everything else. You didn't have to scream your value. You just lived it. You didn't need to prove your integrity. You stayed consistent when no one was applauding. That's how rarity works. It doesn't need an announcement, it speaks for itself. The ones who get it, get it. The ones who don't, never will. And when a billionaire looks your way, it's not because you fit their mold. It's because you broke it. You remind them of what they lost on their way up. The peace, the fire, the purity that used to burn before success numbed it. What they see in you isn't a weakness. It's a mirror. You reflect the version of themselves that used to dream before greed took over. You show them what money couldn't buy back. That's why you become the obsession. Because they can't recreate you. They can't manufacture your spirit. They can buy beauty, skill, attention, but not authenticity. And when something real walks into their world of replicas, everything fake starts to look dull. So they reach out, not to own, but to feel again. To touch something genuine in a world that's lost its pulse. You think they want you for what you have, but it's deeper than that. They want you for what you are. For the calm in your chaos, the truth in your eyes, the fire that doesn't burn out. Because in a world where everything's for sale, the only thing worth chasing is what can't be bought. And that's you. Power doesn't chase noise. It follows truth. And truth, my friend, is hard to find in a world that's addicted to pretending. Everyone's busy performing. Smiling when they want to scream. Agreeing when they want to walk away. Posting when they should be healing. The world rewards imitation because it's predictable. It's safe. It's easy to control. But authenticity, that's dangerous. It makes people uncomfortable. It can't be predicted, can't be packaged, can't be bought. That's why the powerful notice it. Because authenticity is the one thing even money can't manufacture. People talk about being real, like it's a brand. They wear it like fashion, shout it like a slogan, but the moment truth costs them approval, they switch masks. That's why most never make it. They're too afraid to be themselves when the room stops clapping. But the ones who stand still, the ones who speak the truth, even when their voice shakes, those are the ones who get remembered. Because in a world full of echoes, a single real voice sounds like thunder. You think the powerful don't notice. They do. They've seen every type of faker, every kind of puppet, every soul that dances when called. But when someone walks in who doesn't need validation, doesn't beg for opportunity, doesn't pretend to fit in, they can't ignore that. It's magnetic, because authenticity radiates something that can't be faked peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to apologize for it. You can't fake that kind of energy. You can dress like success. You can talk like confidence. You can post like happiness. But you can't copy the stillness of someone who's found their truth. That kind of stillness disturbs the ones still pretending. It makes them nervous, even angry. Because you remind them of everything they've lost trying to please everyone else. You remind them what freedom looks like. That's why authenticity always threatens the system. Because systems thrive on control, and you can't control someone who's real. The powerful are drawn to authenticity because they live in a world full of liars. They've been flattered, faked, used, and manipulated so many times that honesty feels like luxury. When you speak without agenda, when you look someone in the eye without pretending, it catches them off guard. They're not used to it. They're surrounded by people who smile with their teeth, but not their hearts. So, when someone comes along who's real, raw, imperfect, unapologetically human, it feels like oxygen in a room full of smoke. You don't need to act powerful when you're authentic. The power's already in your truth, because truth carries weight. It cuts through the noise. It doesn't need to convince or argue. It just is. The ones who are real, they don't compete. They don't chase. They attract. Because the world is starving for something genuine. Everyone's tired of the fake. They just don't say it out loud. But deep down, even the loudest pretenders crave the quiet confidence of someone who's not pretending. That's what makes authenticity so valuable. It's not rare because people can't be real. It's rare because they won't. They'd rather be liked than respected. They'd rather fit in than stand out. They'd rather wear the mask than face themselves in the mirror. But you stopped playing the game. You saw through it. You realized the applause fades, the trends die, the attention moves on. But your truth, that stays. And that's what gives it power. Because while everyone else is chasing what's temporary, you're becoming what's eternal. There's something unsettling about someone who doesn't flinch under judgment. The way they sit calm while others panic to be accepted. The way they smile at criticism because they know who they are. That's what shakes people. Because when you know yourself, no one else's opinion can define you. And the moment you stop trying to fit in, the right ones, the real ones, start coming closer. The powerful, the wise, the ones who've seen through the game. They recognize that energy instantly. They're not looking for perfect. They're looking for real. The ones who can stand alone without falling apart. The ones who can lose everything and still not lose themselves. The ones who don't perform for attention because their presence already speaks louder than words. That's what authenticity does. It commands respect without demanding it. It doesn't need approval to exist. It's the kind of power that makes the rich curious and the fake uncomfortable. And the irony is, authenticity doesn't even try to attract. It just does. Because it's the rarest thing left. Everyone wants it, but few are willing to pay the price for it. And the price: rejection, isolation, being misunderstood. That's the cost of being real in a world built on illusions. But that's also the test. Because once you stop fearing those things, once you stop bending to be liked, you become untouchable. You become what the world secretly admires, but doesn't have the courage to become. You can tell when someone's real by how they make others feel. When they walk in, the fake ones shift uncomfortably. The insecure ones get louder, and the wise ones get quiet. Because authenticity doesn't compete. It exposes. It reveals the truth just by existing. And that's why the powerful crave it. Because in their world of deals and disguises, realness is the one thing that still feels sacred. The world doesn't need more actors. It needs more truth tellers. People who are brave enough to stand bare in a world that worships filters. People who can say, "This is who I am," without apology. Because when everything fake starts to fall apart, the only thing that stands is what's real. And when that happens, the ones who never bent, never sold out, never hid behind masks, they're the ones who rise. Because authenticity doesn't fade, it doesn't age, it doesn't need validation. It just keeps shining quietly until the whole world finally notices. You ever notice how the rare ones never chase? They don't beg to be seen, don't fight to be understood, don't try to prove their worth. They just are. While everyone else is running, shouting, competing for scraps of attention, the rare ones move slow, calm, patient, because they know something the crowd doesn't. What's meant for them will find them. That's not arrogance. That's power. The kind of power that comes from trusting timing more than desperation. Because when something is yours, truly yours, you don't have to chase it. You just have to be ready when it arrives. The world teaches you to panic. It tells you that if you're not moving, you're losing. That if you're not chasing, you're falling behind. But that's the trick, isn't it? They want you to exhaust yourself, running after things that were never yours. They want you to waste your energy proving your value to people who've already decided not to see it. That's how they keep you distracted. That's how they keep you blind to what's actually coming your way. Because sometimes the best move is no move at all. You ever seen a predator in the wild? It doesn't chase everything that moves. It watches. It waits. It studies. It knows its power, so it doesn't waste it. The impatient ones starve because they strike too soon. But the one who waits, who understands the rhythm of timing, always eats. That's the difference between those who survive and those who win. The ones who trust timing understand that rushing destroys destiny. They don't force what's not ready, and they don't beg for what's beneath them. And maybe that's why people fear stillness. Because stillness exposes who's desperate. When you stop moving, you start to see how much of your life has been driven by fear. Fear of missing out, fear of being forgotten, fear of being left behind. But if you could silence that fear, even for a moment, you'd realize something powerful. Nothing real ever leaves you. What's meant for you doesn't walk away when you rest. It waits. It circles back. It finds you when you're ready to carry it. That's the funny part. Most people ruin blessings by chasing them. They try to force what should flow. They run after opportunities before they've built the strength to handle them. And when it all falls apart, they call it bad luck. But it wasn't bad luck. It was bad timing. You can't plant a seed and demand it bloom tomorrow. You can't climb a mountain if your legs aren't ready to carry the weight. The ones who learn patience, who let time work for them instead of against them, they're the ones who end up with everything everyone else tried to steal. Waiting doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It means you understand your own rhythm. The world rushes because it's empty. It fills the silence with motion, so it won't have to face its own noise. But the ones who wait, who sit in silence and listen to the world spin around them, they're the ones in charge. They see everything clearly while everyone else is blinded by chaos. They don't chase validation, they attract it. Because patience gives birth to presence, and presence commands attention without asking for it. When you're in alignment, things don't chase you because of luck. They chase you because they recognize you. What's meant for you knows your name. It doesn't get confused. It doesn't get lost. It doesn't forget where to find you. So, you don't need to beg for it, force it, or fake it. You just need to stay ready. You build yourself quietly. You grow in the shadows. You do the work that no one claps for. Because when it's time, when the moment finally comes, you won't have to scramble to catch it. It'll land right where you stand. That's the secret people don't want to believe. Stillness is power. The ability to wait without losing your mind, to trust without proof, to keep preparing when nothing's happening. That's what separates the ordinary from the chosen. Because most people panic in silence. They think if nothing's moving, they're losing. But silence doesn't mean absence. It means preparation. It means something is being built behind the curtain while the world thinks you've disappeared. And when that curtain finally lifts, the same people who doubted you will swear it happened overnight. But it didn't. It was the waiting, the patience, the discipline to stay still while your fear screamed for motion. That's the part no one sees, because the waiting phase is quiet. There's no applause for it, no spotlight. Just you, your thoughts, and the test of whether you trust what you say you believe. Most fail there. They run back to what's comfortable. They chase what looks like progress instead of holding out for what's real. But you wait, you watch, you breathe, you trust. And that's what draws power to you, because power respects patience. The universe doesn't reward noise. It rewards readiness. You don't have to chase what's already yours. You just have to make sure that when it knocks, you're strong enough to open the door. Because when it comes, and it always does, it won't ask if you were busy chasing everything else. It'll simply ask, were you ready? People love the idea of destiny, but they hate the waiting that comes with it. Everyone wants the miracle. No one wants the silence before it. Everyone wants the crown. No one wants the weight of wearing it. They want to skip the test and go straight to the reward. But that's not how it works. Power doesn't come from what's given to you. It comes from what you survive. You can't fake patience. You can't cheat growth. Every second of waiting, every delay, every rejection, it's all a part of the blueprint you can't see yet. The irony is, the things that feel like punishment are usually preparation. You think it's silence, but it's construction. You just can't hear the tools yet. You ever notice how when everything goes quiet, people start to panic? They start to question themselves, question their worth, question whether they're forgotten. They think if life isn't loud, it must be empty. But sometimes the quiet is when life's building the loudest masterpiece. The silence is where you're refined, where your strength is carved, where your purpose is sharpened. Noise distracts you. Silence perfects you, and the rare ones understand that. They don't rush the process. They let it build them. Because they know when it's finally time, they won't have to shout to be heard. Their presence will speak louder than any noise ever could.